So approach, this is the key question here, okay? And hopefully now we are getting into the actual hands-on stuff, taking care of some of the basic and foundation before. So approach, what you may have seen a lot on social media and YouTube and whatnot is the approach of debating with someone, okay? Proving that this law of Islam is better than the other law. You know, why it makes sense for women to wear hijab. It makes sense for us not to drink alcohol. It makes sense for X, Y, Z. Okay, so that's one approach, which is we can call the why approach, right? Why does Islam say this? Why do Muslims have to do this? Why do Muslim women have to do this? And so on and so forth. So this is the why approach. Argue, reason, and then prove. Okay? What may be a drawback for this approach? What may go wrong with this approach? Okay, I need to see some new hands to make sure everybody else is awake. Yes?
Your ego.
Your ego?
Ego in it.
Okay. What else? Guys?
Even the other person's ego, right? Like once you get into an argument, then you're not trying to, you aren't on the same page as the other person.
Yeah, you're just trying to smash him.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Okay, good. So it goes back to what's the intention here? Do you want to win debate? Do you want to win a competition? You know, sometimes it's important. There is value for debates for public perception and so on and so forth. But it goes back to what is your goal? Do you want to convert that person? Or what is your goal? Okay. Even there are many people who don't drink alcohol, by the way, right? Even Trump doesn't drink alcohol. Does it mean he becomes Muslim? There are many people who don't eat pork. Does that mean that they have become Muslim? And there are Muslims who drink alcohol. Does it mean that they are non-Muslims? So what happens is that people become defensive, as the brother said, right? And then it becomes a competition. You're trying to smash their ego. They're trying to smash your ego. It will not help you, okay? And when it comes to arguing today and focusing on why, you can see there's like a big extreme on each point. So if you take like moral values, you have people on one angle and they have like books and books and arguments written on why their stance on it is correct. And then you have other people with their own arguments. It's a never-ending debate. You have, you know, same thing, investment. You have like extremes in approaches and philosophies, economy, fitness, parenting, everything. You have like a whole spectrum and it goes to extremes. So this is what the problem is with the why approach. What happens is sometimes you yourself may not be even satisfied with your answers. Okay, the person may be leading the discussion and you realize it's been 3 hours, you haven't even talked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The person is not even convinced about it, they still don't know what Islam is, or sometimes you may have to make up things in your religion. Right? Common example, oh, you know, brother, the polygyny is not really allowed, it's only allowed in XYZ cases, otherwise it's not allowed. Boom, lied about the religion. Right, just to make someone happy. And this becomes like a useless argument. So it doesn't help anybody. So you have to think about what you want to do. Is that the approach you want to take, or you want to have a different approach? Another thing I want to show here is that mind is not necessarily the primary tool for reaching to conclusions. Sometimes your mind will say one thing, but your heart will tell you that it doesn't make sense. Okay? This is an example. So 1 is not equal to 2, right? But however, if I walk you through it, okay, let's work with me. Let's say B equals A. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Step 2, multiply A by B, so AB equals A squared. Any problems with that? Okay. Third step, A squared plus AB equals A squared plus A squared. I'm just adding A squared on both sides. Any issue? Okay, A squared plus AB equals 2A squared, simple addition, no problem, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm subtracting 2AB from both sides. So A squared plus AB minus 2AB equals 2A squared minus 2AB. Any problems? Yeah. What's the problem? No problem, right? No problem. Just subtracting 2AB. Okay, so when you do that subtraction, you come with A squared minus AB equals 2A squared minus 2AB. No problem? Basic subtraction. Okay, now I do what is called factoring out. So a squared minus ab times 1 equals, I'm pulling out 2, so this becomes a squared minus ab. Any problem? Okay. Now, hey, you know what? We have common thing. Let's divide it. Let's cut it off on both sides. And boom, you're left with 1 equals 2. What's the issue?
You can't, so you can't.
Well, if you know it, this is fine. Just like raise your hand. I want to see like how many people can actually get this. You know what's the problem here? No, I'm just saying that, yeah, raise your hand if you know what the problem is. 1, 2, okay, 3, 4. Okay, not bad. So 4 people know the answer, right? But the point being that not everybody will be able to know the answer. Well, let's test it out. Okay, so people who know the answer, just say it out loud. 1, 2, 3.
You can't cancel it.
Why not?
Contradiction, sir. So you can cancel terms only if you know that they aren't equal to 0.
Yes, there's a divide by 0 issue here, right? So you can only do that if you're guaranteeing that there's no division by 0. So if you didn't understand that, that's the reason. So people who actually raised hand, did you guys spot that there's a divide by 0 exception happening here? No? Right? What about you? Okay, so only one person got the divide by 0. Brother, please don't come to my class again. Okay. So yeah, that's the point, that sometimes people can argue, this is math, people can do the same thing with philosophy and all of that, and you might not be able to see it, but that's fine. You need to realize that, look, our minds are limited compared to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like those of you who are parents, just think about it. Can you explain to a child a decision that you're taking that they have no knowledge about? They don't have the experience to understand the decision that you're making for them. So the end goal is, again, for them to realize and know what Islam is, clearly explain what Islam is. And we know that we have something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, which is known as fitrah in Arabic language. And that's the innate nature that we have. And we want to awaken that so people can realize the truth. So in your interaction, in your discussion, if you're making them run away from that fitrah, by debating them, by smashing them, by making them look like a fool, it would not work. And there are different things that can unlock the key to fitrah, right? So part of that could be rational arguments, part of that could be personal experiences, part of that could be experiencing spirituality, reflection, your own character, and also reflecting on revelation. So some of the questions that we want to get them to think about and share the answers with them are not why is alcohol haram, or why do Muslim women have to wear hijab, or why this and that. It's like, why am I here? What is this notion of free will? Why should I continue living? Why is there so much mess? Who is my creator? Why is there pain? What's death? What's after death? What's happiness? As people say, many self-development gurus say this, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. So you can think about those questions, the deeper questions, or just shallow whys, alcohol haram, and so on and so forth. The other thing that this gives you is who is in the driving seat. If you're just answering them, okay, hijab is for modesty, then they'll say, well, isn't this modest, blah, 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 blah. We'll keep continuing on. So make sure that you are using your time wisely and nobody is stealing your time without your acknowledgement, without your permission. Okay, so this is what we're trying to see is the shift, right? Don't get into this thing, okay, I'm going to prove to this guy, this girl, why is this better, right? So hold on to that. Don't get into that debate attitude and think about it. The second thing I want to talk about within the approach section is what is dawah. So some people think that just by being Muslim, just be Muslim, be good, and that's it. That's not dawah. You're not calling them to anything. That's the weakest form of dawah. Okay? Nobody does that when it comes to the worldly things. So I'll give you an example. There was a concierge in my building. I was working. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have a good relationship with him. Obviously, he's coming every day. One day, I'm going to talk to him about Islam. But before I do that, he talked to me about his product. He's like, I'm just doing this on the side. And my side thing, my main thing is, investment products. Here's my card. So when it comes to the business, when it comes to selling for business, when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to even your favorite sports team, people are not passive. You talk about it, you share about it with people. When it comes to dawah, some of us think that, okay, I just have to be a Muslim and that's good enough. So dawah is actually calling, right? You're actually inviting people to accept Islam. Obviously, as you do that, you have to tell them what Islam is, but dawah is to call people to Islam, okay? That's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. That's what the companions did. They were not just passive Muslims. So we have to be holistic in our dawah, right? And as this verse tells us, right, chapter 41, verse number 33, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. So he's calling to Allah, okay? He's calling to Allah. That people, this is the message from your Creator. This is what you should accept. This is what the message says. And then, at the same time, he's also وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. So he's also practicing it. And he's declaring from verbally, being visible about that I am from the Muslims. So the approach that we will be going with, the approach I use, the approach we are teaching here, is first, be sincere and protect yourself. Okay? We talked about this earlier. Protect and do risk mitigation so you are not harmed. Obviously, have beautiful manners. You're not smashing other people. Show empathy. Show care. The third thing I would also suggest is be public about your practicing Islam, especially for the brothers. Right? Like you can practice Islam without anybody knowing that you're a Muslim. Okay? So I was just talking to one of the brothers. He's mashallah very successful in his business. Just recently, we had some discussions. He turned on the adhan on his phone, and he was, working with GM of a big company in Toronto. And, the adhan went on, and then she said, oh, you're a Muslim. I didn't know that. So all this time, there was no indication of him being Muslim. Then the fourth thing is to initiate a conversation. We are actually calling to Islam. So the first thing is how you are being. And then fourthly, you call, and then you clearly convey. You invite them to think, and then you continue the discussions with follow-up. Okay, so that's the approach that we are suggesting that we have done, and we hope that all of you will start doing, at least with one person, between now and December. Okay, so any questions about the approach sections before we go into the actual initiation part? Yes?